All right, it says we're live.
Well, good for us.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of TableBreakers, episode 7, crafting a memorable non-player character nemesis for your campaign. Tonight's guests are, as always, Kai and Garrett, or Baron G-Rock. Go ahead, Garrett. How's your week been so far?
I'm still on vacation, so I'm good.
Vacation.
Ask me how that's going to be on Monday when I go back to the office. But yeah, I've been on vacation last week. Well, since the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So yeah.
Ooh, that is a lot of vacation.
Yes. Well, 2 weeks. I worked that Saturday and then 2 weeks. Yeah.
Under Ewok and Connell have both popped into our chat. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
So, Blaine, how's your week been?
People are trying to come back from the cough, so yeah, we have workers again. So that's nice.
I can't imagine Amazon running out of workers. I just can't. I see the penis starship from Blue Origins going over to some third world country and just taking a net and going through town square and netting a bunch of young men and women and scooping them up in the net and flying them over to some distribution house where they're immediately indoctrinated, given some Nike shoes and said, "Now go to work, you bastards."
Ooh. If that would actually get workers, I would volunteer to go over there and do it.
So you've had a pretty good week then.
Within reason. I'll find out more on Monday.
Oh, that's never a good discussion.
No. But that's Monday, and that's still 4 days away. So let's just...
Yeah, today's Thursday.
Yes, do not push my vacation ending any closer than it has to be.
Hail, awesome one, Edge of Time, and again, Connell Wolf and Hungry Ewok. You'll be guaranteed citizenship if you work at Amazon, but if you work for Disney, you will get Mickey Care and Mickey Care Plus.
And
if you're short, you'll be stuck in It's a Small World.
I'm not sure which one I'm choosing to want to be part of now.
Well,
they're all owned by the same person.
Garrett, you found a picture of Snidely Whiplash.
The animated corpse of Walt Disney?
Yes.
And Walt Disney's not dead. He's just in a freezer somewhere.
Waiting for his time to return.
Oh, robot chicken.
Yes.
Going after young Alien Gonzalez. Oh.
I forgot about Alien Gonzalez. Oh.
It's been a while.
Calvin Vanani's like, villain checking in. And also one says, Mickey Jabs, Mickey Care Plus. Is that a dental streaming service insurance? No, Mickey Care Plus is your dental, your health, your vision, and your family will get enough fuel from Disney to get to work on time every week.
Well, shit. They got vision? I'm on it. I'm there.
Service guarantees citizenship. Another wonderful quote from the best movie of all time. Well, second best movie of all time.
Best book.
Yeah, I will agree. The best book of all time.
Yeah, before I came on tonight, I was watching the first part of the video game awards, and evidently they are doing a Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell voicing Ash game that's going to be coming out sometime next year.
Oh, nice.
So that should be interesting.
He's to the point now where he doesn't look right when he's cast.
Well, the thing is that he's already said he will not be reprising that role on screen anymore. Voice acting he can do all day long because all he's got to do is go sit down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mark Hamill. Look at Mark Hamill. If you go and look at his IMDb, all the voice, you're like, he did the voice for that? What?
He
The
did.
man of a million voices. Yeah, he did so many voices.
Very much so. And some really good villains too at that.
Yes, the Joker.
Probably the most iconic villain that DC has.
Oh,
Fire
yeah.
Lord Ozai from
Hungry Ewok says the book for Starship Troopers was great. Was good. Lots of ads on Game Awards. Yeah, sorry. Sonic 2 looks good, says Awesome One. Tim Christ says, I found this epic demon type figure at my popcorn shop. I don't know what it's from, but I'm putting some detail on it and some color to it. Tim, get it in my Discord or put it in one of our adjoining Discords if you have that ability. Give him some sugar, baby, says Connell Wolf. Bruce got a bit old. Yeah, Bruce Campbell did get a bit old. We didn't expect that. I don't think anybody expected to look at their parents and be like, oh, God, you're 70 now? Shit. Hey, Parrot Head.
it happens slowly.
Yeah, it's very scary. So, Garrett, you had the idea.
Yes.
You had the idea for putting together a villain stream. So,
Actually, no, it was all Blaine.
Blaine?
It was
Yeah,
Blaine's idea.
Oh,
it
wow.
was my idea. But I'll let someone else take the credit for it.
No. This is why we're a team. There's no I in team.
No, that's no longer our. You didn't make this. We made this. I made this.
So,
No. But mostly I was mostly going off the idea of that, kind of off of caveating off of last week's idea of session 0 is that usually, unless you're in a playing, like, even in the most canned adventure, everything has a major villain that is what's keeping the plot going. I mean, unless you're just doing a monster a day adventure session where it's like each session is a new monster and that's what you're dealing with, and you're just going from one random event to the next random event and pretty much playing out Star Trek but in D&D form. Usually there's a narrative in the background, something important that keeps your party focused and coming back for the next session, and that's usually a villain. And if you don't have a good one, or you're looking ahead in the book and going, that's not a really good end encounter because, wow, this entire thing ends with us fighting a fairy queen, I might want to do better. So you got to put some work in and actually create interesting villains, be it something as comically silly as, Snidely Whiplash, or Skeletor and his laughing in the background, and I know, and then riding off into the sunset, going, I'll get you next time, and
we meet again, He-Man.
Right, or it can go somewhere as over the top as some other characters that are out there, and I just thought that would be an interesting way of just painting out how important something that if you're going to, as a game master, that having some evil that's actually keeping you focused and moving matters to an actual game, and yeah, just thought that would be a good way to get things started. So
Yeah, when I typically will start a campaign, Shads Arno, we're talking about the big bad evil guy at the end of the dungeon, or the evil campaign, the end of the campaign. I usually will create a character and just staff them out, give them full gold, give them full abilities. I don't try to neuter them or make them look like they're weak. I don't try to hinder them. I don't want to give them a crippling flaw, because the last thing I want to do is have a 3rd level player character hinder a 17th level archmage. That just doesn't work. So I really want to get an idea for this guy at the start of the campaign, and I'll do that, and I'll put together 4 or 5 of his LTs or capos, and I'll make their cadre, and I'll do that. Now, I don't use a full character sheet because Paizo character sheets can be up to 7 pages long.
right,
But I often will do worse, and I'll buy like a spiral bound notebook. Spiral bound notebook works better for me than anything.
So when you guys, because really I don't craft my own villains. I've never actually done it, so I guess I can kind of moderate here and ask you guys some questions about this.
Works.
So do you guys typically, uh, you know, have the big bad go after people, or you typically have like lieutenants, or like Bruce was saying, capos? I know Bruce was saying that's the way he does it. What about you, Blaine? How exactly do you tend to go along those lines?
Well, I'll admit that I tend to design what I always refer to as the story arc. The story arc villain is going to be like the end encounter, and then I'll work out what lieutenants that are lower and in between, and work their way down to being what the party will mow their way through slowly as I drip feed the next scenario in line for them to go after. And this could be up towards like 9 months in advance of encounters that are going to be all up there. And sometimes they might meet somebody ahead of time and not realize, oh wait, that's a major encounter that we're not ready for yet, and they'll come back to it later, or find some way to try to oppose it in a way that keeps them out of the line of fire, though occasionally they walk right into it and go, oh wait, you're the bad guy. And everybody's like, yes I am, and then proceeds to blast them for a little bit, and then they learn their little lessons, and then they hurt a few. There might be a few casualties along the way, and you deal with that. And the party, but the thing is that now they slowly work up towards each of the lieutenants have another piece in the puzzle that works up towards the actual end encounter for that arc, and it will be building towards that moment where it's the scenario that I want them to go fight. And they could always choose to say, yeah, let's not deal with that, but that's on them. But I'm like, well, if you let the evil villain go off and be evil, they're going to do more evil. So prepare for the longer you delay, the worse the world will get around you. And usually after you burn a few orphanages and you kick over some puppies and light a village on fire, the party tends to figure out maybe we should probably do something, and then they move forward. But otherwise, they're just standing around going, so we go to the job board and we see what the next job is. What dungeon do we need to clear? And then you're like, over there, some guy's basement. That's where I find the first clue and the first bad guy. And then it spirals out from there. And then they spend 9 months in react mode and never actually have a moment to catch their breath. And it's beautiful.
Okay. So do you ever, have the overall bad guy ever appear just to strike fear into the hearts and etc.?
Depends on the kind of villain I'm wanting to run. Like occasionally, I'll admit I tend to aim more for like the to use a video game term characters. Like I like Arturus Meggs from StarCraft. You'll see him, you'll hear him. He might taunt you in the distance, but you have way more things to worry about in the meantime. Meanwhile, the soon-to-be emperor is out there doing evil things, and you really can't stop him. Well, you could stop him, but you got to go through 10 major fights before you can go fight the actual main boss. But the thing is, you keep building the mystique up piece by piece, and hell, you don't even need to have the name for the main boss yet at the start, but as you start laying the pieces out and you start developing a theme going on, and you go, okay, he does this, and this, and then finally when the actual boss shows up, they're like, okay, we got an idea, and then you can either follow what you did or hit him with a little trick that they weren't prepared for, because no player ever does 100% perfect intelligence, so they always go in with what they've asked for and what you fed them, and you can just trick them, and if they can't figure it out, they go in blind, and it gets more interesting. Or if they can figure it out, it's more of a fair fight. But the thing is that they're thinking about, they're trying to figure out what feat do I need? What class build do I need to work for? Shoot, that thing that I wanted to do, that won't work versus this guy. And then suddenly they're all thinking, and you've thrown off all of their plans because you're like, no, this guy, like, you didn't realize this guy's actually an inventor who actually, is also an enchanter, and therefore he can throw weird combos of items at you that you weren't expecting, and now you're behind the ball. Now you've got to react. He's doing things. How do you? And then but first you got to fight through this lieutenant, and it just keeps working this way and moving forward.
And so you're constantly showing this bad guy kind of in the background.
Yeah.
At first, he's not even in an antagonistic role. He might be like somebody who's a beneficial individual, or maybe he looks like he might be a mentor later on.
Yeah. And the thing is,
don't have a single hard bone in their body about this guy.
Nope.
And they think like, oh, well, he's just kind of doing this to help out these orphanages, and you find out later.
And the thing is like recently they like encountered a villain. The villain really wanted to just conquer their town and just win. They wanted to he just wanted to just put his flag down, and like in a big huge fight, at the end of it they were like, so do you just want to like work for us? He's like, he thought about it for about 2.5 seconds and then said no, but he still thought about it. Like the party could have made a really cool check and recruited the guy, because they realized, oh wait, we've been fighting against a guy who really wanted the same goal we did, but we were just on different sides of it. Like, yeah, but he wanted to accept you guys being in charge. He wanted to be in charge. Okay, we'll finish the fight now. And it ended up, but it added a twist that they weren't expecting from it. Let me go see if I can fix whatever the tin can problem is.
I don't know what the deal is with your tinny sound, but I can hear it a little bit. It's not like I said, it's not a game breaker or table breaker.
Yeah.
My apologies. Let me see if I can just shut down whatever it is in the background that's causing that tinniness. I don't
hear
know.
it yourself?
Not really. Well, I can't hear myself, so.
I mean, I'm not worried about it. I've got visual and audio on you. I'm happy.
Okay. Well, that's usually all that matters.
I'm also the minimalist DM, which I found out I'm a terrible VTT advocate the other day because I use StreamYard and marker. We made the entire damn chat angry. You guys can't even talk about this. And fucking GM behind the screen had to come up like, I used Roll20 for 10 years. How much experience do you need?
I'm here to save you.
I just can't. I can't understand why you'd want to use Roll20 for more than like 10 sessions. I really hated it.
I wouldn't know. I really don't do anything more than text stuff. So I don't have this whole 3D thing. I have no idea about. So,
like, there's some really neat looking ones out there, but they all require a lot of prep. And I'm just going to ink out the battle mat, and it's going to save me time and money. I mean, not Dungeon Craft. Another miniature and terrain channel came out, and they said, I went back to the battle mat. I've got over $14,000 worth of Dwarven Forge, and it's great. But there's a lot of times where I just could get along faster and set up a scene with a marker. And that's really what I like.
Yeah.
I need to get it rolling. I want to keep the momentum up. I have a hard time of keeping momentum up as a DM, and I blame that on myself because I let things sidetrack me. But yeah, R20 is good for the grid and the chat, but voice and video, it's miserable. I like Discord better, and I actually like StreamYards a lot better than R20.
Would have to try that someday and figure out.
What about you, Bruce? Go ahead.
Well, like Blaine was saying, like you want to have a character kind of in the background. You don't want to have him in the player's face. You want to have him Sauron-esque, where he's in the background, putting people in positions and putting organizations and putting them in motion. And the players have like an initial like 5 levels. They're just kind of getting their idea set up for what type of campaign they want to play in. Because I still basically don't force them down a railroad path. I don't. I know where the hexes, and I know have the idea of what time and at what day certain things kick off. So if the players don't stop those things, they're in motion, and it's even harder to stop the momentum from the bad guys. But having that in a campaign where the players don't have a cosmopolitan ability to just do a simple knowledge local check, that makes it more difficult. So I've got to set it up better. I've got to do multiple scenes where I start letting the players peek behind the curtain. But I don't like the way Pathfinder handles it, where like, oh, I rolled a 28 on knowledge, whatever skill. Give me all your info.
Oh no,
Really?
no, that's not.
I hate that. I really despise that.
And the thing, I've been having to deal with that. Sorry, with Pathfinder and Pathfinder 2, which have those wonderful I roll, give me your information checks, and I'm like, well, technically, yes, you do have that ability, but no, you don't, because I'm just going to go with, well, do we know anything about this, this barbarian warlord who's out there? We ask around town. Well, honestly, nobody in town knows who he is because he's coming from the deep, from the deep wilderness. How do you know? How does anyone in town know? My bardic knowledge. Okay, you know a legend about this guy. Like you heard something about this guy in the distance, but your bard isn't that traveled. He'll talk about the bard, and they have at that point it's like, well, congratulations, you're doing some basic things. Well, as the game moves forward, you get to see various lieutenants. You might find out that the actual guy might not actually be some big giant barbarian. He might actually be simply a really charismatic guy who was smarter than everybody else and managed to convince all the thugs to go out and follow him around. But you don't find that out until you've managed to go, well, shoot, barbarian horde. How do we handle this when they go out there and fight the barbarian horde? Well, you find out that, well, there are a bunch of looters and a bunch of thugs. Like, it's like Mad Max, but D&D, and you're just dealing with a bunch of guys who just using whatever they got along the way. So you fight, a guy he's a bit of an idiot. But then you find out, well, he's got a lot of guys. That means he's got some room, like he's got an organization. We should probably think about this. Then you go a little bit further and encounter a whole different group. Well, now you find out that, okay, now this is if you got players who are smarter than the average person who goes, okay, so he's obviously got, two bands of 25 guys each. We managed to mow through them, but which means if this new warlord, he's got the ability to organize, send out multiple teams. So he's got a main body somewhere else we got to worry about. And that means he's got people who, tend to their gear, tend to their medical supplies, tend to their food and entertainment. So there's got to be we're now up against a guy who's got 200-300 people out there. And now you're trying to figure out how you're going to oppose this individual. And now you got to work around the edges. And the whole time, the party is trying to figure out how to stop what's going on, and they're all just trying to work their way towards it, and you're just drip feeding information. And then as you keep the ominous pressing need of, you encounter more people, more troops, more fights, encounters, threats that are heading towards a village that the party cares about, and you're pushing the encounter because you have and at no point has the actual villain actually ever shown his face. But the parties, knows him. They've now found his name, found the organization's name, found the band's organization, and you're working, pushing towards that moment, that day that's finally happens when the final attack the great stand between the party trying to defeat the horde, and that's how you set up the encounter. Or the party can go, we're going to do the usual adventurer thing of we're going to go cut off the head and, go after the actual leader. And now they got to go fight through the entire horde, or try to at least sneak in and assassinate the leader. And either way, you've actually pushed this into an interesting, you've taken a nebulous concept and you've evolved it into a really cool encounter at the very end of the arc. And at that point, you spent 3-4 levels having a persistent conflict that's just been brewing and growing. And it's actually an interesting idea. At least that's how I would tend to go towards it. And I will never have actually written down any of the stats of the boss until the session before they actually go kill him. So my apologies for just rambling there.
Sorry,
No, you're
sorry.
fine.
Oh, man.
And has the titty gone away at all?
Well, I think you spend about 3 to 4 levels giving the players an idea of just kind of what they're up against.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to give them hope.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you have to give them enough hexes on the map to where they can retreat and be like, I don't want to deal with this. You got to let them do one or the other, but you don't really let them have an escape because they think I'm just going to go 170, 100, 200 miles away, and I'm going to start somewhere new in a gnomish village, and I'm just going to be a scrimshaw. And then a few levels go by, you force the player to like, hey, notate, 30 extra pounds because you stopped being an adventurer, and you're trying to lay low and not wanting to deal with the invasion going 200 miles away. About 6 months pass, you get a paltry belly on you, and then the undead horde shows up. The undead horde you could have stopped before, but now there's no way in hell that you're going to physically stop this wall of undead corpses.
It's now there. You got to worry about it now.
Exactly. And I think giving the players the option to do that and bury themselves is great.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that doesn't sound healthy, but
The thing is that's when you give players freedom to make a decision for themselves, they can decide to kill themselves through inactions. And at that point, you got to you got to at least give them that storm cloud to the horizon, saying, "Hey, how much longer are you willing to run away?" And the party keeps on going. We keep running. Well, eventually you'll run out of room. Either you'll reach the sea or you get tired, and the undead don't sleep. But the thing is, as you pointed out, if you give the players the freedom to kill themselves or get overwhelmed, that was on them. So,
my players about 2 sessions ago decided to jump through a portal, and they found a big blue dragon, and half of them died. As a DM, I'm pretty hard on my players because I say, well, you died. Give me a new character if you want to play. And so I was trying to coast during the rest of that session until those 3 characters were ready for us. And then I introduced them. But now the players know one of the things they're up against.
yeah.
And I wasn't expecting them to do that, but I had a feeling they were going to try it. And that was really just a poor set of decisions on the players, because once they discovered the dragon, he gave them the option to leave. He said, you would be a comical encounter for me. So leave. And if you can't leave, then you're just going to be killed. If you can leave, drop all your magic items and get out. And if they would have done that, he would have let them go.
The problem is players don't think that way. They almost never do.
No, they don't.
Mostly when you said the words hand over your magic items, and considering how stingy most of us GMs are, and how much the game revolves around having those items, especially for some later encounters where you need those +1 items or those magical items or those silver items, suddenly being told, hand over the items or I kill you. And they're like, you might as well kill me because I'm going to be I'm now broke, and how am I going to make money? How am I going to handle anything? And then suddenly death, which sometimes that's a fun challenge. Me personally, I would have handed over the items and said, I'll figure it out. But I know more than one player who'd be like, oh, no. This is my signature item. You can't steal this from me. I will die for that. And suddenly, the main boss, punches him in the gut and then uppercuts them off an airship, and they fall into the ocean and get eaten by sharks. And they're like, worth it, sploosh. And
well, see now with what happened in your game, Bruce, there was only one player that should have died. And that was the paladin.
Yeah.
Because a blue dragon and a paladin that it's going to happen regardless.
I don't know. They could have a huge debate over, the proper application of laws first before the killing begins. But yeah, I mean, they are lawful evil, and the paladin is neutral. It's right, lawful good.
Yeah, lawful. Yeah, but still, good evil.
I know.
That's the descriptors for it. That's the only difference is they both live by a code. That's the difference.
Right.
So, but yeah, the dragon. That's the only player that should have really died. And I think that in bringing up the dragon situation, we've learned who possibly one of the big bads in Bruce's campaign is.
Woo!
I didn't say it was the big bad, but possibly one of the big bad.
Hey, even if you find out the name of an intermediary bad guy, that's a good thing, because now you can move a little bit further. Because
exactly.
Hey, any step forward is a good step. Is a good step. So all you're doing is getting, just like I said, just 5. One more name is just one more name on the list, and that buys you maybe 2-3 more adventures a time to keep on thinking. So that way you're ready for the next session.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever tell you guys about Jimmy from Springfield?
No.
There was a character that used to play with us by the name of Jimmy, and I call him a character because he was just a fun guy. He was probably way too much into the herbal remedies for life. Hi, Hetty Lamar. He liked herb, but he would spend the entire game rolling up characters for the game he was in at the table of. Now, there was one time that John, our DM, killed Jimmy's characters, and they were the same cleric. There's the same 5 last guys. He killed Jimmy's 6 brother clerics within one session. Because Rollmaster had the how many siblings do you have? If you have siblings, you can add a few or subtract a few points off your ability scores because you have that family thing going. And it was a lot of fun. But Jimmy died in record amounts. And John decided he would use Jimmy's father's character as the big bad guy of one of the dungeons, because this guy was going around having sex with all the ladies and creating a small horde of neutral evil clerics.
That sounds like a major boss that I actually had. I didn't run it, but somebody else in my campaign, that the GM for that game actually I ran, and that one came out of a joke, but we ended up loving it to death. And that one came up because of the fact that we had a bunch of characters who had similar descriptions in their physicalities and how we all acted and how we all looked. And then one player went, "Maybe you're all related," and we all kind of looked like, "You what?" And then the GM started just laughing, cackling in the distance because he thought that was a great idea. He goes, "That's the truth," and we're like, and me and the other player who was involved in this like, "No, it's not." And so we ended up having to track down all of our siblings, and we kept on finding out that our father was actually a horrifying evil monster who just slept around. He would go to battlefield, before every major battlefield, he would go up and find some pretty woman and go, "This is a massive battle. I'm probably gonna die tomorrow. Let me enjoy one moment of pleasure." And he was just a virile motherfucker, and half sibling, and he's just an evil, dark asshole. We end up just tracking this guy down, and eventually it's like we're all ready to kick his ass, and he's like, "Oh no, you don't realize, all you amazing children who are actually all badasses who all have levels. Click, my genes are what produced all of you." We're like, "Oh shit." And suddenly it became a huge fight, all because we just wanted to have Dad tell us that we were actually decent children. And he's like, "Nope, I'm going to kick all your asses." Bam! And it was like, oh, it was fun. So having our massive horde of of siblings, and here comes Daddy going, "Daddy's home, motherfuckers," and just started beating the shit out of all of us. It was great.
It sounds like a fun campaign.
It was. That was the actual climax of the campaign. It was us literally just tracking down Dad for child support. That was literally the campaign.
Oh wow.
Yep. And it all started out as a joke because the wizard just looked at me and the other fighter bitching at each other going, "You two are related, aren't you?" And then the GM laughing because that was brilliant. Which means never tell your GM an idea or even a half joke because they will turn it into the boss of a campaign. And it was beautiful.
Yeah. So another question is, have you ever had their patron be the big bad?
Yes. Oh God, yes. I have done that on multiple occasions.
Now, how do you set something like that up for that evil? You know, I'm going to use a wrestling term here. That evil heel turn. You know, where.
Oh, yeah. The thing is, okay, at that point, okay, for me, using the patron as it is literally comes down to is when your players are so boring and they go, "I need a job, I need a mission." Well, who tends to have the money? Who tends to have the money to be able to hire adventurers and give them rewards repeatedly and reliably? Is it the town mayor? Probably not. Is it the farmer? Probably not. The king doesn't give a two shits about this village or this town out in on the empire's periphery. No. So it's the guy who wants something, and he's sitting out here and he's sending the party out to go do minor jobs, and maybe along the way as they're like looking through the, you know, if you got true mercenary players, which are actually like the guys who just like, "I don't give a shit, give me the loot." At that point, the game goes from being the patron is the secret heel turn to the party is actually the secret lieutenants of the heel, and they didn't realize it because, you know, if your players are going to have no morals, reward them by making them into the bad guys, and then have, you know, actual heroes start coming after them. And the party goes, and eventually your party, if they've got any senses to them, and most players do, but sometimes they don't, will eventually stop each other and go, "Are we the baddies?" And at that point they realize, oh crud. But sometimes sometimes they might put together enough notes and go, "Wait, have we been like, so we murdered this merchant prince who was corrupt, but was he really corrupt? No. Okay, we fought this one military commander. Was he really corrupt? Was he really evil? You're not sure." And it works slowly towards that point. And that's literally how I always went with it. So,
Bruce, you're echoing a bit. As he mutes himself. Now, one of the nice things that I have seen is whereas he'll set him on a bunch of fetch quests.
Yeah.
And then come to find out, these are all pieces that when you assemble them together are a amazing artifact.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, just draw from like how most game, like if you think in like in video game terms or novel terms, there's always that point where where you spend part of the game working for the bad guy. Just crib from those books, crib from those games. Think about how you would run this. And most of the time your players are usually not thinking that far ahead. They're usually thinking about the fact that I'm broke, I need magic items, I want loot, and that's all I care about. So if anybody who pays me money, I'll do the job. And that's how you can usually hook players into having, you know, your patron actually be a complete and total monster who really is just using you to assemble the 12 pieces of whatever it is that allows them to bring back the Dark Lord of the Sith, and you're good. And most of the time your players won't realize it until finally it's like one piece from the end, and they're holding the last piece going, should we get us back to the bad guy? No.
How does that sound, Garrett?
Better.
Okay.
There you go. Yep. Now, have you ever? What about you, Bruce? Have you ever, done things like that?
Years ago, I haven't really had the chance to do that to my players lately. They've been kind of hex crawling and they've been dying in front of big red dragons. And so what happens is that I will give them a few items of note, I'll give them a few clues as to what's going on. But I think the player characters I've got sometimes they're kind of like in Doom 2016 mode where they see the story and are like, let me rip that terminal off the wall. I don't want to hear the backstory to this dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And they get kind of pissed when I do that too much. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just keep throwing up bad guys in front of you. You guys keep suffering losses. That's kind of what happens.
And different groups like it that way. Some groups just don't want the story, and at that point, that takes a lot of the burden off of you as the GM, because all you need to do is just put a themed boss in the way every once in a while, and then they're like, "Oh, goody, we get to go kill some more." But some groups do actually think about, "Hey, what's the political environment here? What's going on? Why is things getting a lot harder all of a sudden?" And I'm like, "Well, you've angered the president." What do you mean you angered the president? You're literally fomenting a rebellion, and you're ruining the taxes of the colonies. So the president's going to show up. Oh, he's just the president. What's the president going to do? At which point you laugh and go, "Oh yeah, no, this isn't some boring president. No, this is like Iron Wolf president. Like he's like the guy in like power armor is going to show up and punch you in the face because you're ruining his mighty republic." Wait, what? The president is actually an adventurer who's just as badass as us? Oh yeah, him and his Secret Service are actually his old adventuring party, and he's here to lay down the law on you by punching you all in the face until you stop, ruining his country. But
Blaine, have you ever seen a movie called FDR American Badass?
No, but I think I want to.
Okay. I want to create a big bad guy like that, because in FDR American Badass, FDR is bitten by Nazi werewolves. Ooh. And he gets polio. And as a drawback, his legs shrivel up. He's got these little baby legs. And Eleanor can't stand his baby legs. She doesn't want to be seen in public with him because she just doesn't want to even think about his little baby legs. But they outfit him like a early James Bond-esque with a wheelchair that spits out 9mm rapid fire guns. And so I can hit all these bases that have plagued D&D lately. I've got a wheelchair guy. He's a white nemesis. I've got werewolf Nazis. I could do all of it. I could just freely rip off one of the greatest movies that nobody else has seen. And if you've seen FDR American Badass, you've got a bruised liver because of it. It is a wonderful film. And go ahead.
FDR American Badass. Okay. Who's streaming that thing?
If you go search it on Bing under videos, you can watch the whole thing.
Ooh, I'm going to go watch that later. That's going to be my movie tomorrow night.
It is a classic film, and I'm a big fan of it. I should not be a big fan of it, but I'm a big fan of it. Barry Bostwick plays FDR, and he was the main lead from Megaforce.
Oh, no. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm bringing back some cringe.
Oh, that one's a okay.
No, what is y'all seeing? Spin City, I think.
I don't know if he was in Spin City or not.
Yeah, I think he was the mayor.
He's a wonderful cheese chewing, scenery chewing actor. He's the type of guy that you want to share a camera with, Garrett. He really is. It'll do something for your career. You'll be scripted to star in the sequel to Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer.
Oh, never mind. That's not who I was thinking it was.
No.
But yeah, it's like those are like that's the kind of fun you can actually have with the Iron Villains. Like it's like because sometimes you do just need to have a silly guy who just comes up there and is your Snidely Whiplash. Who's just there to just make things fun for fun for your party, because like I said, players need some motivation, and that comes from just a guy who just is comically terrible.
Yes.
And it's even better if you can make him a running gag, as in somehow manages to escape through some conniving weird way every single time and leaves the party just dumbfounded in whatever new stupid that you can come up with. And then don't make him like every single adventure dumb thing, but like every 2 or 3 adventures, the arrival of the world's most incompetent moth, and to use Star Wars for a term, and you're like, so this is his new scheme, and you're like, yes. And the party is just like, okay, this is a distraction from our real plot line, but we have to first take care of this incompetent guy who's going to go rocket off in in an escape pod that goes into warp, but no one gives a shit because he's there, he's causing problems, or he shows up and he's there to go steal a bank vault. Why? Because he's broke to go fund his next stupid project. So the party's in the middle of their big actual plot, and in the background, the world's most incompetent warlord is right there going, pay no attention to me. I'm just stealing everything in the background. And the party, oh, God damn it. Which one do we spend our time on? Incompetent loser or actual plot line?
See, when I was running, there was a Paizo campaign where it was like not Return of the Rune Lords, but it was set in Magnamar, and it was a Rod of 7 Parts adventure.
Right.
Where you had to get the Sidhedron Star put together. And the first 4 levels, you were fighting this thieves guild ran by a bunch of females called the Tower Girls. And my players loved to kill them. I had the most racist, sexist players that the moment they saw a female figure in leather armor on the battle mat, I could just put it out there in middle of combat, like the party would break off from like a big dragon or a lich or something of note, just to go kill the Gimp NPC Thieves Guild member. Because I could never get them to roll right. Paizo had the worst organization I ever saw in a adventure path, and I just couldn't understand, how is this a threat? And it really wasn't. It was just if you need the players to have like a fan service moment where they can feel like a badass, that was actually what they needed. And you needed to do that and provide for them. You have to rub their precious little egos. And then like the next encounter, they had like a death lich sheep or something, and it kill them all. But
that would be amazing. A death lich sheep.
Bad person. What? There's a sheep on the hill. It looks kind of scraggly and look kind of undeady. What? It's an undead sheep, and it's talking to you. Bad person. What else is it doing? Okay, you want to watch for a while?
Yes.
It's got some orange runes floating around it.
Oh,
orange runes, huh?
Oh, and the barbarian's wearing a kilt? Uh-oh.
It's date night. It's got entertainment attached.
Yes. So the players had I rolled up the worst. I was just drunk one night, and so I made the Deathlit sheep, and this was back in 2014 that I unleashed this on Mike and Liz before the Gregs joined up with me, and I killed Mike and Liz's character because Mike would always open up the Pathfinder rulebook, much like Robert would do it. And when he would start putting a character together, you could hear the rules scream and say, "God, no, please make it stop."
Oh, yeah.
It was weird because Pathfinder lets you create really good characters. It really does. But the rules are so succinct where between the lines, the people in Rendon, Washington really wrote, the players need to win. Make sure they win because they have rough jobs and you need to massage their precious little egos. And that was basically what I read. Even in Advanced Player's Guide, it says this game is stacked in favor of the players even before you award hero points. If you give them hero points, they are going to mop everything. So I never played hero points.
No. We even had a small little fight in our group over hero points. It's like, we were like, 1. You get 1. That's it.
Yeah, one
And
per
like,
session. What? One per session. That's it.
and they're like, no,
You're
we get
gonna
the
lose it.
1 per hour. And then I'm like, so we came to a compromise where we ended up just pulling like a 7 C's rule out. It's like the first one's free. Oh, for each of us? No, the first one is free. And do we get more? Yes. How many? Yes. But what happens after we use spend number 2? And I'm like, that's when the fun starts. Oh, these aren't hero points. These are dice that, yeah, go ahead, use your hero point. Complications start happening after this point. And the one person who plays 7 C's is going, never use a hero point, anybody. Never. Never. We hoard that one. The one we get. And we all agree who gets to use that roll before we do it. And everyone else at the table. Why don't we? Because the villain is about to get a lot more nasty. The more we use these, the nastier the villain's going to get. Why? Because you see that dice, that cup? He's putting dice in it every time we use a hero point. Yup. And what does that mean? We're all going to die horrifically at a point down the road. And I'm like, yes.
There was a Knights of the Demo table that they had a better idea for hero points.
Oh, good. I'm up for ideas.
Okay, from 1st to 5th level, you get die 4 as a hero point.
Okay.
Because it was written for Hackmaster, of course, the maximum result explodes. The next roll is a -1, and you keep rolling until you stop rolling a max result. So you could roll like a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 5 fours, and you're actually going to have a total of like a 17 because you have 4 plus. Anyway, so you have the -1 added on there. So it's like 12 plus 4 is 16. My bad. But if once you stop rolling the max result, you stop rolling and you take 1 off the final die. Anyway, so you have up to 5th level, you have D4. You get 3 of these. At 6th level to 10th level, you get D6s to replace the D4s. At 11th to 15th level, you get D8s to replace your D6s. And then in the high levels, 16 on up, you get a D10. The Dungeon Master gets 3 die 12 and 1 for every player at the table. They can be stacked onto every roll. You can put them on any roll, like to hit. You can put them on a damage. You can put them, however, and declare it. If you want to declare these hero points are going to be all burned off at once because you really want to smash this guy, or maybe you just have a shitty to hit roll and you know you have bad luck with die, so you're going to burn all 3 of your hero points right now. Roll all 3 hero dice and do that. So it was a neat way to do that, and I like that. That was one of the cooler ways that Kinzer and Company came behind Paizo and improved their game.
Hey, a good idea is worth stealing. So
I hope all of you feel for that. Oh, we had a drop off. We had up to 6 people. Now we're down to 2. I don't know why, but
we started rambling.
Oh yeah, we ramble. But
us ramble never.
And you know what? They always come back later and catch it, so it doesn't matter.
So I wanted to like make that a possibility for the players, and I don't like just throwing die mechanics or mechanics of the game out there as a potential thing. I always like making it happen through an in-game event where the players have like an important decision or a puzzle to solve or an NPC to free or to imprison. And as a result of their actions, they get something new put into the game. One of my players just died. His twin brother, the sorcerer, who couldn't roll above a 7, just died. And he's upset because I resurrected him because the players found a pretty powerful ley line. And his essence appeared in this cave where the players are at. And he doesn't want to play that character anymore. He's like, I might play a magus. And I'm just like, I'm growling. But I'm going to make Arcana Pool. That's for sorcerers and wizards too. Because there's no reason why the magus should just get that. There really isn't. The elven wizards have been around for how many centuries casting magic. And just because this little fighter wizard wannabe gets that, and they don't even do it right in Paizo. They make the mages any race can play this, where in a more traditional campaign you'd have the bigoted elves that would never teach that to a short-lived human or gnome. God, the thought of a gnome being a magus in most elven worlds I know would be an affront. So,
yeah.
But I'm
I've played in games before where even before that was even there, they had dice pool or spell points.
Yeah.
So for every level of spell, and they could use those points to enhance the spell, even if they didn't take like feats and stuff like that. They'll burn in their points. Well, if you run out of points, you don't have any more spells left.
Right. Well, that's just the usual goal, trying to move away from the idea that you have fixed spell levels, that old traditional casting method, and trying to add a bit more versatility, because sometimes you just need to have more low levels. You don't. Yeah, or more fireballs, more magic missiles, more more buffy spells, because you need to be able to buff everybody on the in the room. And then you're like, well, I can only buff 3 of you, so you get to be cool, you get to be cool, you get to be cool. The rest of you just sit in the background and I don't know. Yeah, plink arrows, everybody. And the one archer in the party, yay! Stop cheering. You're supposed to be depressed.
But he's gonna fight in the dark. Pling.
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 Yeah, I know. I, the wizard, decide who gets to have fun this adventure. Fighter, you get to have fun. Bard, shut up. Barbarian, you get to be cool. And rogue, no. And myself, I get to be cool. And everyone else is like, oh.
But I want to be cool.
The system of crafting is spell point driven. So you take your prime requisite times your level. So if it's like, if you're an intelligence-based wizard or charisma-based sorcerer, you just take that number on your ability score and you times it by your level. That's your mana points. Bam. Pretty simple. Oh,
and that's another fun thing you can always use your villains for. And that is to introduce new mechanics.
Yes.
Because I guess a virtue that I always run under is the idea that that whatever I can do, the players can do too. So therefore, I try to build my encounters with the idea of I'm not just going to make up bullshit and go, it works because I said it works. Well, how does it work? Fuck you. That's why. And, well, can we do that? No. Why? Because I'm the GM. Fuck off.
Yeah, and that doesn't really keep your table full.
Yeah, and suddenly, but if the boss, the big evil guy, shows up there and he's using a cool new thing, and it's like, well, how did he do that? And the party investigates. And suddenly they go, wait, can we do that too? Well, yeah. Why couldn't you? Well, we never thought about, which is a great way that, if you're a GM who wants to teach your players a new trick, well, you don't just go and sit them down and go, well, here's how to do your combos and make sure you work right. Just throw a villain out there who goes, let me show you how this 3 combos work. Bam. And you just hit them over the head, and the party beats them because, their hero and the players are crippled and horribly bleeding to death, but somehow they come out because dice rolls and half of them cheat. They win.
Are you watching my streams again? I rolled a 20. I rolled a 20. It was 19 on the die.
No, it wasn't. And I'm just like, yeah, man. A lot of you rolled 20s at the right times. And then finally, this last session, I felt so happy because a player who I know rigs his dice parked his butt like right in front. He was the only one in front of the villain. The only one. Everybody else hadn't acted yet. Everyone else was hiding, and the villain got to have his action. And the villain just jumped up and then punched all the blood out of him. Sorry, almost all the blood out of him. And then second punch knocked the rest of the blood out of him, and then he body slammed the guy off of the player off of the cliff, and he fell into the water and died from sharks. Because I finally got the chance to go, I'm sorry, Mr. Guy, who always manages to roll crits at every opportunity. I'm going to just return the favor. and everyone else at the table is like, well, it's about time the GM's dice actually rolled as good as we do. And they all looked at that poor player, and that poor player's like, yeah, the GM finally rolled really good. And I'm like, sure did. Sure did. My character's dead, right? Yup. Sure is. Man, all those nat 20s you just constantly roll all the time?
Now, one other thing that I like with, when they're actually having the battle, you can talk about new mechanics, is that all of a sudden they pull, you can also kind of mislead them also with the fact of, starting out, oh my God, he just threw a fireball. Okay, this is a wizard. We got this. And then all of a sudden he just starts coming in and just waylaying them. You'd be surprised what magical devices can do, like rings and rods and wands and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because nothing pisses the party off worse than a CR 1/2, an old man sitting on a porch with a rod of summon pit fiends.
Players, my players. That would be just absolutely cruel.
Yes. And players don't ever expect anyone else to actually use anything. Much like when you start throwing, suicide, as my party has deemed them, murder eagles at the party, and they're like, this guy's just summoning birds at us, and the pigeons come flying towards us until they explode. And like, oh shoot, what spell is that? It's in the actual core book. I mean, it's called Final Sacrifice. What? The bird explodes. Wait, pigeons are now lethal? Yes. Oh no. And now they're like all paranoid of pigeons because, well, here's a spell you guys could be using, but you're not. Here's a cool spell that you could be using, but you're not. And this is how you teach these poor bastards. And then they eventually learn. And now they're going to go, our villains are geniuses. And I'm like, no, your GM got bored at a truck stop and opened the player's handbook for 2 seconds. And they're like, man, you're such a cruel GM, and actually you know things. I'm like, no, I'm just waiting for my gas tank to fill, and therefore I'm looking at a PDF. Yes, I'm brilliant. And then I sit back, and then they all start talking, and I'm like, that sounds smart. That's my new villain plan.
So.
And then I just show them the I'm not nice patch that I've got. And it's like, there you go. That's what it comes down to.
I am not nice.
No, I'm not. And then it's great. Or they also, like, since most players I don't always pick up on all the references, and then you can just have that one old guy who just like, oh, he's useless. And he just hobbles off to his little temple and comes back as the biggest badass of all time. Like, oh, shoot. Was that Mum Ra we just pissed off? Yes, and now you're up for it. Oh, no. He has 5 minutes to be cool. Then he's back to being useless. Bye. And it's like there's so many fun ways that I have a player who is afraid of flatware because he found the spoon gun, and now he's afraid of spoons. And I'm okay with that.
Wait, you just read Shadzar's comment?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I was just making sure.
Yes, I read it. The whole wait till you make your players afraid of flatware, and yes, he's currently afraid of a gun that shoots spoons and now he's afraid of me just handing out spoons. I'm like, why? And he's like, spoon gun. Look it up. Yeah, you should be afraid of that. Are you going to give it to us? No, I'm going to use it on you. When? And then the silence that makes them all think, you going to tell us the time? No, I'm not.
So does that mean if it's a large creature, it's a shovel gun?
You know what? I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that one down. I want a shovel gun.
That was good.
Shovel gun. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to use that.
That's better than the idea I had for my love rocket.
Or you can even do a pitchfork gun.
Shovels. They're dull. They'll hurt more. Why would you use a spoon? They're dull. That's the point.
Fire the sporks! No!
Oh God. Oh God. Piercing and bludgeoning? I like this. No, because they all just got. I introduced to the idea of the man-portable ballista that got introduced to the game, and I'm like, I'm going to use this. And the party's like, wait, what? People with ballistas can now that can actually carry them? Yes. This isn't fair for us. No, it's not fair for you. You're not supposed to have it all fair. The entire world. Yes, the chainsaw gun rocket launcher is always an idea. Players are trying to figure that one out still.
Looks legit.
Oh, yeah, it's totally legit.
Chainsaw gun is legit in 40K.
Yep. Yeah, but that's Dark Heresy. So
Yeah.
Nemesis allows it. That would be something I'd like to see. I'd like to see somebody play a Dark Heresy game where they actually do Inquisition type shit, and they actually have a story arc where they go and they meet up and they finally understand just how corrupted their organization is. Isengard would be proud, that sort of thing.
those kind of stories do happen.
Eisenhorn.
Yes, Eisenhorn would be proud of that kind of game. But the thing is you got to have players who are actually invested in playing the type for that kind of a game to work.
Yeah.
And that means you got to have players who are coming in wanting to actually do that.
Yeah.
And I had a campaign that I was in that was close to that, but it got derailed due to the fact that our tech priest ended up being corrupted and turned to evil. And then when he realized, am I actually a chaos cultist? And the GM's like, I don't know. Are you? He goes, I probably am, but I'm not telling the rest of my party. And then we were all getting subverted by our tech priest, who was actually chaos infested, which we ran with. And it ended with us all getting smashed with hammers, but it was a fun game.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and the thing was because we all trusted him because he was part of our group, and when it came out that he was corrupted because we didn't see it coming. When we all reported to our Inquisitor, hey, we screwed up, that we didn't see this. We killed the guy who was corrupted with chaos, and we all got punished by being murdered because, well, we were close proximity to chaos, so we died miserably. Mm-hmm. And we all kind of went, that's 40K for you.
That sounds like
legit.
A 40K game.
That's a 40K game. Like, we weren't paying attention. We let chaos happen. We paid the price for it. And you know what? You're playing Warhammer. You should expect to die for being not smart enough.
Yeah, I agree with that. What?
Oh no, Shadzar's an M60 filled with swords, not bullets. Okay,
have to be rapiers.
That would be stilettos. I'd go with stilettos.
Rapiers. It's a pincushion.
That almost writes itself. Very heavy gun. Oh, that's bad.
I'm gonna mark that one down and see if I can figure out how to make that one work too. Sword gun.
Very carefully.
So, like with my campaigns, I usually don't let them see the bad guy until like levels 8 to 12. The big bad guy doesn't even get a reveal until then.
And so, do you like? So when they
that was the next thing I was going to go into. How do you reveal it? Is it just a subtle reveal, or do you do it with a bang?
What would make for a bigger story impact? What would crush the hopes of a player character than seeing a formidable NPC that probably has more power invested than the entire party does as a whole? And so you see someone like that, and you want to kick him in the nuts. It's kind of like the same thing as if you let the party stumble onto an elder brain in the Underdark. Just you want to have like one of those climactic moments where they realize all of these people have been involved with this web of deceit and lies.
So do you go for like the full on Loki kill? I'm going to use the Marvel reference here. Killing Coulson, or are you more of where they just kill somebody that that's very close to him, or are we looking more at?
I'm looking more at like killing off a player character.
Okay,
I go for one of the players in an event or a moment in combat where the player is prostate, unable to defend himself. I'm not going to show the players mercy. My players never show the NPCs mercy. When they get into a fight, they kill the downed opponents.
mm-hmm.
They're pretty ruthless when it comes to it. So I want to just have a game where, like, I know the bad guy will probably be targeted at this point. Probably the player that loses a hero will probably decide, no, I'm going to kill this guy. And I go for the jugular. I want the players to hurt, like with what we did with the Blue Dragon. I mean, 3 of the players had to re-roll characters.
Well, they want him dead now.
Yeah, that Blue Dragon's got a mark on him. They're going to try to figure out how to make a dragon slaying arrow, and hopefully we get lucky. Oh, okay. Good luck with that.
They'll try.
They will.
It'll be an arrow of no.
Wow, we missed. Do we have another one? No, that was our one shot. We're all gonna die again, aren't we?
Don't need an arrow of dragon slaying. You just need 2 items. That's all. Well, actually 4 items. You need an arrow, a glass vial, a portable hole, and a bag of holding.
Or alternatively, if you don't want to use a nuclear weapon to go kill it, you just need a halfling and a lot of poison and a hold poison spell.
Yeah, mine's better.
I like feeding the halfling to the dragon and having the dragon be like, wow, a snack, and then all the 400 doses of poison that you've forcing that poor halfling to have in stasis in their body now becomes virulent in the dragon's belly, and the dragon's like, wait, what? Make 400 saving throws. Oh shit! Split. There we go. Poison masters are never allowed to be in the party. So.
Oh, sorry. This dragon has an immunity to all poisons.
Man. Welp, we're out of halfling. Oh well.
Quick, throw the dwarf at him. Don't tell the elf.
It's no real loss. We'll just go get another halfling rogue from down in the just
yeah.
Trust me, there's more of them. We're out
Yeah,
nothing.
we had a GM at one time who would actually, he didn't trust us to level our characters. He would take our characters. We told him what we wanted to do. He would take our sheets, and during the week he would level them. Well, we had a fight, and one of our people died at the end of that, and that's where we stopped the session. So he took it, and we were looking to get rid of that person anyway because she was kind of annoying, to the point of that she'd show up half the time, and the other half she'd be complaining. So yeah, it was one of those deals. So GM just killed her off. The easiest way to do it. She said, well, I'm not going to be able to make it next week. And he was like, called her like 2 days later. Yeah, we decided we're going to stop gaming for now, which we never did. But anyway, but he took our sheets and leveled us up. When we got our sheets back the following week, we looked at it and we're all full health. And we're like, wait, we're at full health? He goes, oh, well, yeah, we'll just go ahead and go with it. It goes, sweet. We need to go get a 6-pack of half-elf druids, pop their heads off because she died by beheading, pop their heads off, and we're healed. It just sparkles everywhere, and we're healed. So that became the running joke of the, pop the head off of a half-elf druid, and we're good for heals.
Man, that's right. There were squeezer priests. You just, Why you want halfling priests? You just pull him out of a pocket, squeeze him for a heal, and then put him back in the pocket. So
I know you have to have a pack of Trask just because it's funny.
a pack of them. No, thank you. But sure, no. This door leads to ultimate death. Yes. No, but I've also had the problem where I've built up a villain to the point where they were paranoid, just afraid of this guy. And this guy has never made an appearance, but they fought his organization. They've infiltrated the fortress, and I'm like, I'm going to create a good, wonderful arrival scene. Comes, makes his appearance, and then the party legitimately. I'm like, we all roll out in the open, initiative goes out, and they all beat him. Hardcore, just beat this guy on initiative. And he's just like, oh. Even his minions are like, no, we're all lower initiatives. And they're like, this is all open, and they got to see it. And so he comes into view, and the party just unloads, like alpha strikes. Everything they've been holding on to, every dirty trick, nasty ability, and weapon they've been holding on to is poured onto this guy. He has not been able to do anything, and they obliterate him. Like, he is gone, like a fiery, just burning pit of four elementals, just elemental fires burning, like fire, ice, water, and earth, just hammering this spot. There's arrows falling into it, gunfire from muskets, everything. And this poor guy, he was tough, but 5 players who are very angry getting to attack, opening round, you're going to beat this poor guy to, like, and I even had like tactics, like 3 pages of how I'm going to fight with this guy. He's dead. Dead. Not even the first round is passed. Dead. And the party's like, wait, that was it? That was the boss? And I'm like, yeah. He was a pud. We just beat the guy. Like, you literally threw everything in the book plus some extra stuff at this guy. Would any of you survive this? And that, like, even the best person in the party, like, no, all of us would have died. I'm like, yeah, all of you would have died there. And they're like, wow, we thought he'd be tougher. And I'm like, he was tougher than you. He had twice your hit points. You just burnt him. Oh, maybe we were a little over-prepared. But you talked him up. Like, no, I told you all his stories, the legends. I made you afraid of this guy, and then you nuked him. And they were like, so does he have any loot left? No, you nuked him. He is a greasy smear on the ground. But his gear survived. Like, no, by hardness rules, all of his gear is gone. And that was when one player went, we ruined all of our loot. We're broke. We spent all of our money preparing for this fight, and now we can't loot the guy. Oh, hells! And one player, we were expecting to at least recoup our investment. Oh, Jesus! This isn't fair. Does he have, like, any additional loot anywhere else in the fortress? No, he brought it all with him. This is bullshit! You robbed us! I'm like, no, you nuked him, motherfuckers! And they're like, oh, this fucking... And they were just, like, cursing themselves for actually winning a fight. And I'm like, good.
Well, see, that's when I would have said, well, go ahead and go and look in the throne room if you don't believe me. And they find one little ruby in his chair as a symbol of power, and that's it. They get one like 15 gold worth of a ruby.
No. In spite, they pulled out all their crowbars and started, like, taking down tapestries and pulling out, like, stained glass windows and, like, pulling all the furniture up because they're like, we're getting some money out of this adventure. And it's like, this is bullshit. And they're just, like, walking off like all the fittings and furnishings and moldings. Like, no, we're just selling off we're just selling his fortress off piece by piece. And I'm like, wait, you're not getting much. Like, we blew something like 20K in expendable items that we all threw at that moment. Like, that's on you. You blew it. Like, recouping investment. And meanwhile, the entire fortress is now, like, looks like looks like it's like some like abandoned Detroit ruin because they walked off with everything because they believed in the classic rule of anything not nailed down is mine, and I have a crowbar, so nothing's nailed down. So,
and if they would have looked underneath the throne, they would have found the deed to the property, which they could have sold and recouped everything.
Oh no, and it's like it was just this funny moment where they just realized that wait, and they blamed me for talking the villain up too much, and I'm like, well, you kept asking dumb questions. I'm going to give you dumb answers. You created your own theory. And he was just a guy who had Dimension Door as an ability. That's all he had going for him. That was it.
I like that.
Yeah, his whole thing was he was gonna bounce around the combat zone and go in and out and sneak attack people because he was a rogue. The main boss was a rogue, and they were like, "Oh, this guy's evil. We gotta just." Blah. And I'm just like, you losers. It's beautiful. But yeah, but that's the fun of when you don't tell the party what they're fighting. They go in thinking it's the worst thing in the universe. It could be an arc wizard. It could be a lich. It could be some kind of guy who's made demon packs, or it could literally just be Joe down the street who had a cool magic item. The bartender, he's secretly been the boss the entire time. Wait, really? Yeah. Oh shit! Now we're going to go down the bar and have our final confrontation. He just pours you a drink and goes, "Congrats."
But he still wins because he takes your money.
Yeah, because you still got to pay for that drink. Yeah, like I said, there's so much fun. There's so much fun you could have. That's honestly what it really comes down to. And if they take, and you're right, it could be a cursed ruby because you never know. And if one player takes more attention to it, give them the cursed ruby, and then have it be haunted by Bob the villain who had been annihilated by a nuclear bomb, and then you just whatever, you just have fun with it. I mean, ending an arc is like the best thing in the universe is when they finally manage to kill the big bad evil guy, and you're just like, finally, it's over. Or is it? No, it is. Question mark.
See, what you don't realize is that was just the regional lieutenant.
and the thing is, that opens up the door. And yes, the boss whose henchmen are tougher than he is always a fun way of doing things. Because man, we fought this guy who's an ogre and this guy who's like has regeneration abilities. The boss has gotta be. He's just a guy who's got some backing, and he's just like he's a pencil pusher who just has all the money, who funds it all. I know.
Yeah, it's like
he has an intelligence score of 12.
Well, it's also like the wizard who he has all his minions attack, and he happens to have several holes drilled through the inner mountain out so we can see out, because he can teleport.
Bye.
Because line of sight, right through the wall, gone.
Wait, that's bullshit. Bye.
Yeah, use that sometime on him.
Oh, I've done that one on. I used to use that. I used to use teleport so often that one player literally wished, like he fought for an item to let him one wish, and he wished for teleport to never work again. He just wished for the spell teleport in all its variations to never function ever again. And I'm like, okay, that works for you too. He goes, yeah, but I don't care. I want to actually kill a villain. All right.
That kind of includes D-Door.
Yeah. Oh no. We fluffed it around so that way it works for small tactical jumps, but like the big multi-100-mile jumps, those are gone. All of them are gone. It's like, so little flashes and cool things, those still work, but the big I escape, you'll never find me, motherfucker, poof moments, those are all gone. And I'm like, and years later, some of the players still look at the guy who made that wish, and then they're just like, You fucker. Now we gotta walk. We're 8th level, and you ruined the ability to just teleport somewhere. And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Because we kill villains now. But we gotta walk. We're doing Lord of the Rings. We don't want to fucking do Lord of the Rings. I'm like, that town's 100 miles away. That's like a 10-day walk, motherfuckers. Get a horse. It's 5. Man, now we gotta wear horses. And walking and encounters. We're 9th level. We're better than this. No, you're not. Son of a bitch. And I found it to be the
glaring hole open.
What was that?
I love the players that leave their character completely open between games.
Oh yeah.
This player character doesn't need gear. Yes.
Well, see, and then that's when you just have a secret artifact that's found by one of the big bads. It's not from this planet.
It's from a different one.
And guess what it is? A run of teleport.
But it's worthless. Why? We're on this planet. The teleport rod. Ha! Wait. This is a cool paperweight.
Well, no, because it'll work because it's not from this planet.
Right. I know. And they have found over the years ways to get around that wish, and I've been kind of nice to them, but I keep punishing them over the fact that this one player made that wish years later. Why? Because they were tired of villains escaping. And I don't blame them. I'd be tired too. But it also makes the wizard very, very unhappy because he can't just, I'm going to go teleport to my tower now. Fuck you. Bye. Poof. Now he's like, fuck. Why do I even bother leveling? All I'm going to do is get more damage spells. I can't do anything cool like, make the world the size of, a postage stamp. But, God, infinite power, but I can't just be lazy. Fuck this.
That's classic.
I know. And it's fun, and it's like, but I said, that's just, but players find new ways of ruining, if you give them motivation, they'll ruin the world to win a fight, and I love that fact. But why? Because you've pushed them to do that, and you pushed them to do it. I didn't want to destroy teleport. The players did, and that was the greatest moment in the world. They chose to ruin the world, not me. Damn.
They did it.
You did it to yourselves, and now several campaigns later, generations later, with people who've never been there, who were never there for the initial moment, going, why doesn't teleport work? Oh, let me tell you the story about a wizard who made a wish. And they're like, is that guy still alive? No, he died like 800 years ago. And his wish is still in effect? Yes. Fuck.
For how long? Forever.
Forever. He wrote it. He worded the wish forever. This sucks. This sucks a lot. Fuck that guy.
Unless you can find some way to undo it.
I know. And several players say they want to do it, but then nobody actually does it because they all get used to the idea of, well, if we can't teleport, they can't teleport. So it's all right. It's fair. And so they just they adapt because they're smart people, and smart people adapt to bad environments. Ow. Shoot a coalition soldier and then reset the holodeck when you miss. That's a good idea. All right.
So,
I'm sorry.
No, yes. It's okay. So what kind of ethics do you guys give them? Ethics? Do you guys give them like a backstory type thing that you slowly reveal? How do you craft that into everything too?
You want to handle this one first, or you want me?
I think Bruce should, because he hasn't talked in a while.
I
want to make sure he's still awake. No, I just want to make sure he's still awake.
Fair enough.
Bruce.
I think he wandered off. His paintbrush is down.
Bruce.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, wake up.
Was I Was I not broadcasting?
No, it was
You
quiet.
were snoring. No, you were snoring.
That's funny.
Because I heard the.
Yeah,
Well,
It was either that or you're. It's either that or you were a turtle, and I wasn't going to go into that. So
well, we
Well,
are
when-
approaching our usual end time, so
well, the turtle noise was there because Bruce is eating mac and cheese with ham in it, and yeah, I'm more pronounced with my happy voices, with my happy noises. I'll have to go back and watch this. This begs for a rewatch.
no worries.
I like the idea that you've got where we just have various windows of opportunity for the players to see the narrative in front of them. Should they continue to pursue that nemesis? I like that a lot. I want to see more games kind of do that, like the adventure paths that Paizo runs. Usually around book 4, book 5, you have an idea who the big bad evil guy is, and that's around levels 8 to 12. So you have an idea of what you're facing off on. Like in book 4 for Kingmaker, you get an idea, and you have an idea that it's the Twisted Sprite. And then with Rise of the Rune Lords, which Andy always runs Rise of the Rune Lords because somebody hasn't played it yet. He always runs that. In book 4, you actually hear Mockmurian talking to you, and you realize how bad of a position you're in because now he's gunning for you. In Curse of the Crimson Throne, you knew who the bad guy was in the book 1 because you see the queen take a crossbow quarrel to the head. And then she jams that crossbow quarrel into the captain of the guard and kills him in front of everybody. Just had like a bunch of problems in town. And here's the queen going batshit nuts crazy. And it's just giving the players an idea of what they're facing is one of those things that I think is necessary. But I don't want to have it overtly scripted. Although I do like what the old West End games, Star Wars game used to do, where it would have a cutaway scene and you would force feed the player's story from another perspective. I don't know if you two remember that or not.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually in the adventure modules. They would have cutaway scenes, and you'd give them ideas of what's on the horizon. So I thought that was always neat. With character traits, like I think if you can go up above and beyond and go with a voice for this character, I think what you need to do is practice it. I mean, seriously practice it. You need to be like Peter Cullen with his Optimus Prime. Whenever you hear that voice, Autobots roll out, immediately you're getting ready to be entertained. So when you get in your big bad evil guy voice, you should be able to get the players to recognize that's the voice of a nemesis. If you can do it. And even if you can't, just make the effort. Because funny voices, I think, are voices or different inflections or accents. Like in the current campaign we're playing right now, they haven't found the evil doctor that's helping the Hobgoblin army. But I've got a little Fauci-esque doctor with the Hobgoblins. And he would be completely with the Hobgoblins, a little lawful evil gnome bastard. Oh, you're going to get your jabs. You got to get your jabs. You want to have a character voice that the players hear it and they immediately recognize, I think initiative is coming. Tim Christ says Boss's henchmen are tougher than he is. That happens when you script up a warlord that's actually a skald, the Viking barbarian bard cross-classer. My friend had the party encounter a group of kobolds. They got their asses kicked. He didn't tell them they were level 10 kobolds. Well, there's a old Dragon magazine editorial called Tucker's Kobolds. and the party would go through this dungeon, and the first 2 levels of the dungeon was like kobold territory, and they hated it. They had to evade the kobolds. They had to get around all the traps and the phosphorus arrows the kobolds were firing from their little short bows, and they had to really work to stay alive. And Tucker's Kobolds makes for one of the most interesting and diabolical organizations that you could put in your campaign. And you really should put Tucker's Kobolds in your game, because Tucker's Kobolds is a time-honored bad guy that numerous people would rather not have to face. You don't have to have a kobold with anything more than 4 or 5 hit points, but they have murder holes. They drop their little flaming oil on you while you're walking through a passageway, or they trigger traps. They do just nasty things. And in Tucker's Kobolds editorial, the player writes up as how 2 players died getting to the elevator out of level 2 of the dungeon. And they finally made their way down to the demon on level 10, the Pit Fiend, and half of them died there, but they loved it, and they had a good time. But the Tucker's Kobolds were the force that the players actively chose to run away on or sacrifice other members of the party so they could get away. So I do recommend that. Really funny when you try to shoot a conditioned soldier and you reset the holodeck when you miss. Really funny when you try to shoot the coalition soldier and you reset the holodeck when you miss. Ooh.
All right, boys, give me 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
No worries.
I played a few games and ran a couple where the players play themselves on paper. Yeah, we did that with One World by Night with a chapter out of Springfield, and the GMs there were actually pretty fair. Nobody had more than a 3 strength. You can bench 250 pounds, Bruce. Congrats. You're one of the 3 people that can do that here.
Yeah.
And, that was pretty fun. Nobody had a superhero character. We were all like 14th gen vampires with 2 dots of intelligence and 2 dots of wits. Good stuff. I'm sorry you're not here to enjoy this macaroni and cheese and ham.
Oh, that's okay. But no, to answer that question also for how did he phrase it properly? Wow, I know I'm on I'm running on fumes if I can't think of words that I was thinking about 5 minutes ago. That sucks.
Yes.
I know this stuff, but I'm drawing blanks all of a sudden. What the fuck?
I'll have to send you some coffee beans.
At this point, I would probably chew. I just chew them.
Rita Doherty from Iowa says hello. Bruce Lombardo of Dick's Divisions. I saw you're on.
Hello.
Sweet. She's a real sweetheart. I have a chat member, and she's in a lot of my friends' chats whenever we have panels on. One of these days, I expect to see her on the panel itself or being a host. But everything
that would be fantastic.
The other thing I think is really important when you have a campaign, and I know this is getting boring for some people, that's why we dropped down to just a handful of viewers, but I want to see more DMs try to play with organizations and anything else, because you have to have a group that the players, it's not quite faceless. They know a few members of it, but they have to have something that's going to have more resources than them they're going up against.
Right. My party, like I kind of specialize. My problem is that I always have problems as a GM where I don't do small things very well, but betraying the fact that I spend most of my time playing grand strategies, my villains tend to be the heads of grand organizations, which is why when you finally go up and fight them, they end up being PUDs, because, well, the actual villain was the organization itself. The guy in charge is just the head of a vast apparatus that's oppressing everybody, and then the party goes, but we kind of like the big, horrifying beast of an organization that, because when they I have a player who's I can only describe as he is like the Pokemon master of villains, where I create a villain and he tries to figure out what the motivation of the villain is and then beats them and then reforms them afterwards. Like after the party has killed the villain and walked off, he'll go and cast, when the rest of the party has gone off, he'll cast reincarnate on the villain and bring him back to life after, they're bound up and completely incapacitated, then try to like convert them. And he actually has an island where he just ships off all my old villains and stores them there. And then whenever he gets stumped, he'll just go to the island of villains and go, okay, brain trust, I can't figure out the plot. Help me. And then all the old villains are like, we don't really want to help you. He goes, yeah, you don't get a choice. Either answer my stuff or I, starve you to death and then bring you back to life as, reincarnate you again. And slowly but surely, it's just funny that he just collects all of my villains because he goes, they're all interesting, but they're all, and then when they encountered the one villain, they managed to take down the villain, but then looked at the huge organization that he had built and went, wait, this guy infiltrated the magical police, the actual police, and all these various other government organizations. We could take over that. And then he's like, yeah, I'm not taking, and I'm like, do the right thing. Disassemble the vast bureaucracy that's controlling and oppressing the entire world. And then he's like, no, I'm just going to, like, you just gave him the one ring. And he's just like, no, Sauron's gone. I'm the new Dark Lord. I'm now the new Dark Lord of the world, but I'll be a benevolent, good Dark Lord. And slowly but surely in the new campaign I'm running, they're finding out that the ultimate guy who saved the world in the previous campaign, who didn't disassemble the technocracy, is sitting here going, the technocracy never changed. It's still oppressing everybody. It's just now a player character's in charge of it. And I'm like, yeah, a PC is in charge of it, but it's not a PC in your group. And the player who's playing it, who played that character, is like, but I'm still in charge of that character. No, you're playing your new character. Your old character is now corrupted by the fact that he is running the CIA, FBI, and the NSA are all at his fingertips, and he can literally just oppress anybody at a whim. And if anyone does anything wrong, you can just appear and murder them. And he's like, oh yeah, that is what I do. Isn't it? And the whole party now sits in fear of the idea that they might draw the ire of the Dark Lord now, of the police department, and they're like, someday we're going to have to go murder him, aren't we? And I'm like, eventually you might want to actually free the world from an oppressive government that you decided to just take over after you killed the last guy. Like, and the player is like, I don't think I can disassemble it. I like what it can do. And that's the best thing, is when a player overthrows the villain and then becomes the villain, because they look at the one ring and even though it's like Elrond, just throw it in the fire, end it now. No, it's mine. And it's always fun watching that moment when the players hold the evil villain's plan and then goes, it was a pretty good plan. I'm doing that plan now. It's mine. Click. And the rest of the party goes, oh, that wasn't a good thing. But they don't realize it because they're all benefiting from it. And now the new players are all sitting here in the shadow of the previous party going, the world didn't get any better. This sucks. But it's running different, but it's not better.
It's not better.
And that kind of makes this continuous rolling depression that even when you win, you don't win. Because now the villain is somebody you know. It's a hero. It's the guy who overthrew the last guy. Everyone loves him. Or do they? And the party all grumbles because, they want to overthrow the guy they just overthrew. This really sucks. And then the poor player who did it all is sitting here going, I don't want to ruin the world, but I have to burn him. And I'm sitting here going, man, it's like I don't have to do any actual work. Because
All right, so we've got about 15 minutes left here because I know we typically don't try to go over 2 hours. So
True.
we'll go ahead and start with Bruce. Is there anything else that we really haven't touched on that you feel that we really should in crafting your villain?
I'm just going to say that when you're crafting your villain, create your dream player character that you want to create. I mean, create them the way that you like. Unlimited money, unlimited power. Just build that guy, the guy that you would like to see. Like I remember when I was like you once, level 1 necromancer, couldn't even cast chill touch without having to roll d20 because my wisdom score is so poor. I remember that. And now he's like a super, just a wisdom and intelligence whore, and he's amazing and can cast whatever spell out of the necromancy book he wants to. Oh, Liber Mortis, such child's play, that sort of thing. But I want players, and I want I want the DMs to really just get a hold of that mindset that this is the character that you always have wanted to play, and you're going to craft him, and you're going to build him up, and you're going to hang out with him. You're going to have lunch with this guy, and you're going to figure out what the hell he likes to do, what type of food he likes best. Is he a ham guy or is he a beef guy? And you're going to know all these things about him because you should know him fairly well. He's a big bad evil guy of your campaign world, and you make him to where like he's not nigh unkillable, but at a certain point, then it it opens up to where the players could potentially be a threat to him. They are never truly going to be on par. They never should. They should never approach within 5 levels of where he's at. He should be a malevolent force of destruction. He really should. And you should know his abilities backwards and forwards. And don't forget the thing like immune to mind affecting spells or enchantment and charm schools. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How many times have you read through the forums on Paizo's Rise of the Rune Lords where somebody cast confusion on Mokmurian and he rolled a 2? So you don't want to have that. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you forget of his immunity? He has the gemstone embedded in his skull along with the 7 or 8 of them. So you have these things in your game, and you don't want to reveal the hand. You don't want to do too early of a reveal. Like with my game, the players discovered the blue dragon. That's not really the big bad evil guy yet, but that's like one of the big people in that campaign, and they understand now what they're facing. They have an idea. They don't just have giants over here and hobgoblins over there. Now they have a definable force of who's helping orchestrate all this. So I'm happy, and you want to build on the organization that they've built and the people that are close to them, and you can even make them somewhat flawed. Yeah. Like Loreth the Beautiful, one of my favorite NPCs of all time from Temple of Elemental Evil and Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil. Thank you, Monty. But you want to have these characters in your head when you're crafting this, and indulge yourself and make the biggest, coolest 25th level nemesis for your campaign that you ever could. But just understand, he's not going to be on the front lines fighting the PCs. He's going to be way in the back with an army of mopes and mooks and, relatively thick-necked guys that are going to cause your players hell. There's going to be 5 or 6 organizations that he's got, and there's going to be so much hell that he can provide. And the things that will happen to the poor players if they get the worst inkling, like, I want to go after this group here. Okay. Well, like 3 of these groups are tied together, but you'll find that out. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And do that. And I'm not saying like make it impossible for the players to win. Never make it impossible for the players to win. But just let them know you have a hill to climb.
That hill's is the most important part.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, what about you, Blaine? Is there anything that we really haven't covered that that you want to touch on before we get out of here?
Simple. don't think you have to be completely original. It's impossible. There is no new story under the sun. So find a villain that you like. Find something that will inspire you and you run with it. Be it I always fall back to characters like Arturus Mengs from StarCraft. That's what I aim for. I aim for, the Master General in the background. The corporate CEO, the horrifying thing in the background that is ruining the world, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you want to fight it. And eventually, this is what you want to go for. So find someone you don't like, or a villain that you were inspired by from a book, a game, a movie, anything, and then adapt it. It doesn't have to be a one-for-one translation. It just has to be inspired enough so that way you're motivated. It doesn't matter if the guy you're trying to base it on is Megatron, to go, because I heard Optimus Prime earlier. You can't have Prime without Megatron there. You need to have somebody who is going to make you want to think about how you're going to build it. Is it going to be a villain who shows up regularly? Is it a villain who's in the background? Is it a guy you only get to hear the voice of and a speech from? Is it a guy that you've got theme music that's in the back of your head playing whenever you think of this guy? Or is it someone who's directing the minions? You just got to be able to take an inspiration and run with it, and then be able to use that, and then know that enough that you have it in you, so that way when you throw it at your party looks at it and goes, I think I'm able to pick up the energy you're throwing at me, and then they run with it. They're now motivated because you've put energy into it, and because you are inspired, they're inspired. And if they figure out what your reference is, all the better. Play into it. Don't make it a one-for-one translation. But if they find out that you're being inspired by Grand Moff Tarkin today, and that's the guy who's been in the background, and they get behind it and they start to think about what they're doing and they're inspired by it too, feed off what they're doing and keep rolling it forward. Modify it, shape it, keep moving until it's time for them to actually confront and actually have a. And if they want to talk to him, give them the chance to talk to him, because you never know. They might be able to hammer out a solution and be like, so you ever thought about working for us? And then, if they make a good enough case and everything comes out and the villain goes, yeah, I'll work for you. Because why? Because the villain might possibly have figured out that the players are just as evil as he is, and goes, yeah, I can work with you. Which should raise red flags in the party, who goes, wait, why is the villain working for us? Doesn't matter. But like I said, be inspired, and that means read as many books as you can. Watch as many movies as you can. Listen to music. Listen to stories. Just keep getting inspired and find the one thing you're going to grab onto for the new campaign and run for it. And then just grab on to keep going.
Okay. I think we've done a pretty good job in helping those who have definitely wanted to come up with ideas on how to craft their own. Bruce, have we got anything you've got coming up this week?
Not this week. Next week, next Saturday, I'm going to be running my game, and the players will be figuring out just how fucked they are. With that uncovered, they're actually going to probably be on the lookout for a small black dragon. Not small, a large black dragon. Not quite gargantuan, a large. And they're going to go after that, I have a feeling. So that will be an interesting cat and mouse game. We'll see how they do. With tomorrow night, I know I'm going to be on panel with our friend Max Leo. And we're going to be doing a chill Friday night stream. I'll be with my miniatures again, and we'll be discussing stuff. He might even crack open another book, and if we have nothing else to talk about, he's going to go through a let's read or let's check out this new product on the market. We did Twilight 2000 about 2 weeks ago, and I got to say that I really don't like Modifius. I really don't like the 2D20 system. I understand why you have it, but I really just prefer the old games. If I want to play Twilight 2000, I go on eBay. I buy the Twilight 2000 box, probably at a premium compared to what it was at
this version.
That right there,
or
right there,
or this version. Which one are we talking about? This
First
one
edit.
or this one?
First
Which
edition. Or the version, the yellow book.
The yellow book, the fun one.
Yeah, I like that. And I just like that book better. It had a lot better mindset. It was written by people that understood the Red Scare. And they made a role-playing game for, I hate to say it, but damn it, like we've turned into the guys that would be playing Twilight 2000. If we weren't so invested in our own campaigns, like I could see where somebody was either running a Twilight 2000 campaign against the Ruskies, trying to ruin Brazil. Oh. Yes.
So yeah, personally, I on that type of thing, I like actually doing Morrow Project.
Morrow Project is great.
I really enjoy that because you can just make it right here at your own home. You got your bolt hole there and just go.
Oh yeah.
Blaine, do you have anything coming up that you want to share with us?
I need to figure out how to do this whole streaming thing / podcasting so I can just ramble in my truck. But beyond that,
I'll get you in touch with
know.
a friend of mine. She's a long haul trucker. I don't think she really does a lot of podcasting from the truck. I think she does a lot of it when she gets to her destination. She doesn't want to do it when she's in the middle of a trip.
See, the thing is that I keep finding out that when I'm driving, I have a lot of really great ideas, and then when I get onto here, I have none of them. So I need to figure out how to record them while I'm driving. That's all I need to do. So I can actually
voice notes.
Yeah, voice notes.
Okay.
Voice notes. Do voice notes. You're gonna be surprised at what you do with that.
Yeah, because like I have like so many hours I'm just bored in the truck, so I might as well just record something and then edit it together or re-record it later. But yeah, so beyond that, no, I'm waiting for I'll wait for the next topic and then the next week to go talk randomly about it. So yeah.
All right. And myself, I'll be doing a little gaming. I'll probably be hanging around tomorrow night on the Legion of Myth channel. You can find them by just searching Legion of Myth, either on Twitch or on YouTube with Max Liao. And then, of course, Legion of Myth also does have the Sunday Digest, so you can definitely, I do suggest checking that out. There was something, unless I read it wrong, Gatekeepers for next week is next Wednesday, correct? Correct, Bruce?
I think it's Tuesday. I
thought they did it Tuesday this week.
You're right. So it'll be Wednesday next week.
Yeah.
Ooh, I might actually.
Not sure who's hosting that one yet. But
I want to get somebody else to host because there's other people that need to get up to 1,000 subscribers, like myself. But that's the reason why we're doing it. We rotate round robin, and the reason I want to do that is that I want everybody to get watch hours. I want everybody to get views. I want people to get subscriptions. We have like 10 of us in the Gatekeepers, and one of us hasn't even joined up with a single stream yet. And then there's others that are just kind of in or out. We just got the GM behind the screen back, and he's a hell of a guy. He's a real nice fella. Got OGGM and Bloodworth, and those two are those two are fun.
I've been kicking it around, but I don't know what I would cover. It's hard. We have a hard enough time trying to figure out what we're going to do for this one week to week than me trying to figure out what I would do on one of those. So make sure you give Bruce a like and a sub there. It is free. I'm on on Twitch. You can come on over and give me a follow. I definitely appreciate that. Twitch.tv/BaronGrock. And I think that's going to call it for the night. For Bruce, Blaine, and myself, we thank everybody for taking a little bit of time out of your life to spend a little bit of time listening to one of the things we love, which is tabletop gaming. We hope everyone has a great week, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night.
Take care.
Thank you so much.